The University of Maryland School of Medicine welcomes you to the 2021 Gala, celebrating our strength, resilience, and partnership. Please welcome our co-chairs, Calvin Butler and Patricia Mitchell.
Good evening. Welcome to the 2021 University of Maryland School of Medicine Gala. PJ and I are truly honored to represent the School of Medicine's Board of Visitors. We are so very proud of our faculty, students, and staff.
What a challenging year, the year of the pandemic. And what a year for the University of Maryland School of Medicine. Our faculty making national headlines with research and clinical trials, and providing care for thousands of critically ill patients.
And so it is fitting that our theme for tonight's event is strength, resilience, partnership. As members of the School of Medicine's Board of Visitors, we have had the opportunity to meet many of the faculty, staff, and students who exemplify the principles we are celebrating this evening.
We are delighted to welcome friends and colleagues who are joining us at this virtual gala, celebrating the outstanding accomplishments and spirit of the past year. Welcome to the elected officials, business and community leaders, academic leaders, alumni, faculty, students, and staff. We would also like to recognize and thank our many special friends and donors and supporters for being with us. We are grateful and deeply appreciate everyone's commitment and support to the School of Medicine, especially during this unprecedented time.
And we are most grateful for the sponsors of this evening's event. The names of our sponsors are listed in your program, but we would also like to take a moment to acknowledge our lead sponsors. Our presenting sponsor is the Whiting Turner Contracting Company. Our platinum sponsor is the University of Maryland Medical System, and our silver sponsors are BGE, Ms. Cynthia Egan, Express Care, Kelly Benefit Services, Mercy Health Services, and the University of Maryland Faculty Physicians Incorporated. Please check the Gala program for the names of all of our other sponsors, but thank you so much for your support and generosity, which made this evening and the many accomplishments of the School of Medicine possible.
And now we would like to welcome the Chair Extraordinaire of the University of Maryland School of Medicine, Cynthia Egan.
Thank you, Calvin and PJ, for your very kind introduction and for representing our colleagues on the Board of Visitors. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. On behalf of the Board of Visitors of the University of Maryland School of Medicine, it is indeed my pleasure to welcome you to our annual gala. Each year, we set this time aside not only to thank you for your generous support of the school, but also to show you the extraordinary and tangible impact of your investments. We also set this time aside to celebrate together the triumphs that are made possible by powerful and inextricable partnerships with donors, faculty, alumni, elected officials, and our friends and colleagues at the University of Maryland Medical System and the University of Maryland, Baltimore. I have had the good fortune to be directly involved with this outstanding institution as a member of the Board of Visitors for the past 8 years. For those of you who did not know it, the University of Maryland School of Medicine is the oldest public medical school in the United States. This school has been learning, growing, teaching, and contributing to the health and well-being of citizens of this nation for centuries. And now the world is being served by these gifted and caring professionals. Driven by our strength, resilience, and partnerships, the school's impact on health and well-being extends far beyond Maryland's borders as we fight the fight to eradicate this virus that has forever changed the world as we know it. Every new discovery that has happened here leads to another opportunity to unravel mysteries in medicine and to elevate healthcare. The transformational research that our physician scientists are conducting is having an impact on national and international levels. I salute the school's resiliency and commitment to excellence in education, implementing innovative and meaningful remote learning and skillfully engaging our medical students to excel in their chosen healthcare path, despite the obstacles of the current pandemic. I'm grateful to be affiliated with an organization that is so resolutely committed to transforming health. It requires the special, the gifted, and ordinary people willing to do extraordinary things. And from the bottom of my heart, I am grateful to each of you who contribute to this noble endeavor. With heartfelt appreciation, we say thank you to the supporters, contributors, sponsors, allies, and friends who have tuned in tonight. Your generosity and support makes all of this possible. So on behalf of our Board of Visitors and the broader community, we could not be more grateful to each one of you. Thank you for the honor to be a part of this great work. Enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Cynthia. And thank you so much for your leadership and tireless dedication to the School of Medicine. And now, it is my great honor and privilege to introduce to you Dr. E. Albert Reese, the Executive Vice President for Medical Affairs at the University of Maryland, Baltimore. Dr. Reese is also the John Z. and Akiko K. Bowers Distinguished Professor and Dean of the University of Maryland School of Medicine.
Thank you, Calvin. I want to thank you and PJ Mitchell for your support of the School of Medicine as our valued board members. I also wish to extend my sincere thanks to both of you for hosting tonight's event. But there's also a special news that I've heard, that you both will be celebrating your birthdays tomorrow. So I'd like to wish you both an early happy birthday. So excited for you both. I'd also like to thank our board chair, Ms. Cynthia Egan, for her dedicated service and excellent leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm delighted to welcome you to the 2021 University of Maryland School of Medicine's Virtual Gala, or second virtual gala during this pandemic time. Let us hope that by this time next year, we will once again be able to host an in-person gala and we can enjoy each other's company face to face. Before we begin, I'd like to personally recognize the following individuals who have always been so wonderful in their support of the School of Medicine, especially during these unusual times. Among them, I wish to recognize first Chancellor Perman. Thank you for your strong leadership of the University System of Maryland and your support of the School of Medicine. Next, I'd like to recognize President Gerald. Thank you for your effective leadership of the University of Maryland, Baltimore during these very difficult times. We're so grateful for your support of the School of Medicine. At this time, I wish to invite Dr. Gerald to bring greetings on behalf of the university. Dr. Gerald.
Good evening. The past year has brought so many challenges to our society, but the UMB community, yet again, has risen to meet them. We are a university with deep talent. We have a strong commitment to our fellow humans. We have strong teams working together. This combination has allowed us to be resilient and flexible. We have been able to keep health and safety at the forefront. Many of our faculty and staff have made huge commitments to care for patients. Others have worked tirelessly to see our university through this pandemic. We will be in the process of reimagining ourselves, how we teach, how we learn, how we innovate, and how we get prepared for the future after COVID. For those of you at this gala tonight, I thank you for being here. I thank each of you for your effort in helping us to remain true to our mission to improve the human condition and serve the public good. I look forward to when we can meet again in person, at a time hopefully soon, and in part hopefully because of all of the incredible work that's been done here at UMB, and especially here at the School of Medicine. Thank you for those efforts.
Thank you, Dr. Gerald. The achievements in healthcare that the School of Medicine has enjoyed over the past year have resulted from the collective efforts of many members of our School of Medicine community, including the medical center, the medical system, and the university campus. We're most grateful for the leadership, the collaboration, and the support of colleagues such as Dr. Mohan Sunta, President and CEO of the University of Maryland Medical System. He's also the Marlene and Stuart Greenebaum Professor in Radiation Oncology at the University of Maryland School of Medicine. In addition, we're so grateful for the collaboration that we enjoy with Dr. Bert O'Malley, the President and CEO of the University of Maryland Medical Center. We are fortunate to have this strong and enduring partnership of the medical system and the medical center leadership to advance our shared enterprise. At this time, I'd like to invite Dr. Mohan Sunta to bring greetings on behalf of the University of Maryland Medical System. Dr. Sunta.
Thank you, Dean Reese, for that kind introduction. And on behalf of the entire University of Maryland Medical System family, let me send our profound debt of gratitude to the entire University of Maryland School of Medicine community. Together, our partnership has demonstrated how we are indeed committed to the highest ideals of discovery-based medicine, and how collectively our communities have leaned into the challenge associated with COVID. And in doing so, we have defined our culture and defined our path forward. Our collective organizations, I believe, have demonstrated the value of resilience and strength and partnership. As a young boy, I was taught by my father that in life, we don't get to choose which battles we fight in life, but we always get to determine how we fight those battles. And it is my sincere belief that in responding to this pandemic, the way we have responded as partners, we have defined our culture and clearly defined a path forward that will lead to tremendous success for both of our organizations. So again, as a proud member of the School of Medicine faculty, let me add my congratulations for tonight and thank you for the unwavering commitment you have to this partnership.
Thank you, Dr. Sunta. I would now like to offer and acknowledge our extraordinarily talented and dedicated School of Medicine faculty and staff, and especially the School of Medicine leadership team, which includes the chairs of our departments, the directors of our centers, institutes, and programs, the vice dean, and the chief operating officer, the senior associate deans, the associate deans, the assistant deans, and other dean's senior staff members. We worked very hard as a cohesive team to execute the vision that results in our successes. So thank you very much for your cooperation and your support. I extend the warmest of welcome to all our School of Medicine alumni who have joined us this evening. We deeply appreciate your loyalty and your support over the years. I'd like to take this opportunity to pay tribute to those alumni who are celebrating their 50th anniversary in class reunions. Congratulations on this milestone, and thank you for joining us tonight. We value our very strong partnership with our Medical Alumni Association, and we'd like to invite Mr. Larry Pitroff, the Executive Director, to offer greetings. Mr. Pitroff.
Thank you, Dr. Reese. On behalf of the Medical Alumni Association of the University of Maryland, we wish to welcome everyone here tonight, and it's important that we recognize a couple of classes and individuals. First, the classes of 1970 and 71, which are celebrating their 50th milestones tonight, 50-year graduation anniversaries. The class of 1970 was planning on coming back here last year. We all know what happened there. We invited them back this year. And we'll be inviting them back next year as well when we finally get a chance to meet in person. So for the classes of 70 and 71, congratulations on these milestones. We'd also like to recognize our two Alumni Award winners this year, Dr. Martha Stauffer, class of 1960, She is the Honor Award and Gold Key winner for 2021. And Dr. Arnold Blaustein from the class of 1966, who is the recipient of our Distinguished Service Award. Finally, we want to recognize the class of 2021 as they are on the cusp of crossing the virtual stage in a couple of weeks. We wish you the best successes. This has been a trying couple of years for you. This class has been defined by the pandemic. And if there was any questions about the quality of education that they received while they were here, I would just encourage everyone to look back at the 1940s for a comparison. These were the war years, and our classes were told that rather than a 4-year medical education, they had to expedite their educations and complete them in 3 years. There were no spring breaks and no winter breaks. And what emerged from these 4 or 5 classes during that era, the individuals, the graduates, were among our finest. I'll give you just 2 examples. Dr. John Dennis, a class of 1945, a renowned radiologist, went on to become dean here from 1973 to 1990. He is the longest tenured dean in the history of our medical school. And then there was a 1946 graduate by the name of R. Adams Cowley. I think most of us know what he went on and did with all the research that he collected from serving wounded soldiers during the war. So class of 2021, we have high expectations for you. We know you're going to do well, and we look forward to having you back as you begin celebrating your milestone reunions. Hang in there, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Mr. Petroff. Finally, I want to thank the School of Medicine's Office of Development and the events team for their dedication and hard work, especially in all the preparation and arrangements for a virtual gala. Thank you so very much. Our traditionally long list of thanks is very appropriate for the theme of this year's gala: strength, resilience, and partnership. The strength and resilience demonstrated by the University of Maryland School of Medicine over the past year are a direct result of the partnerships that we enjoy. It is hard to believe that it has been over a year since we began living in this pandemic world. When COVID-19 began, we had no idea how much and for how long our lives were going to change. Our environment transitioned to one of great caution and costly restrictions, including the beginning of episodic telework and remote learning, limited social gatherings, and a daily confrontation of climbing infection and death rates due to COVID-19. We learned how to cope with the stress, the sadness, the silence that suddenly occupied our long days. A year later, we cannot say that we're out of the woods. However, despite the challenging circumstances, we have thrived as a unified medical community. Even though we had almost everything working against us, we had everyone working with us. So despite the odds, we were able to, 1, achieve record-breaking milestones, such as our research grants and contract achieving nearly $600 million this past year. This represents a 40% increase over the past 5 years. Secondly, we advanced major COVID-19 scientific breakthroughs for testing, treatment, and prevention, including successful vaccine trials. We provided excellent innovative care, including the growth of our telemedicine services. And we continued to successfully educate the future physicians and scientists and lead them through this critical season. The University of Maryland School of Medicine is no stranger to adversity. In fact, we often tell our students that setbacks are the key to success. It is not the what that matters most. Rather, it's the who and the how that gets us through. Who is around us to help support us? Who will we choose to be? And how will we move forward? Our strength comes from our support, and strength builds resilience. The result of our resilience is what we see tonight. we see an undivided academic medical community stronger than ever and more prepared than ever for whatever comes next. So thank you for being a part of this journey with us. In more ways than one, you have been instrumental in how we have navigated this season. The funds we will raise this evening will be dedicated entirely to support entrepreneurship and diversity initiatives so that we can continue to build upon our strong, resilient community of innovators and critical thinkers. I sincerely thank all our sponsors for their ongoing support. We are so grateful. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing with us this evening. As Dean Reese so eloquently described, tonight's theme is strength, resilience, and partnership. I agree that this is such an appropriate theme and one that truly reflects the spirit of this outstanding institution. I would now like to introduce our feature video for this evening. Tonight, you will get a glimpse into the world of the dedicated faculty, staff, trainees, and students of the School of Medicine, demonstrating the promise of compassion and innovation in the battle on the front lines to fight COVID-19.
It was a roller coaster year of grief and despair, followed by hope and confidence as we fought to conquer a common enemy. On the front lines, doctors and scientists of the University of Maryland School of Medicine worked heroically to keep COVID patients alive. In the laboratory, researchers studied the virus to develop new treatments. Conducting historic clinical trials, School of Medicine vaccinologists proved that new vaccines can stop the virus in its tracks. But the threat remains from a virus that shows no mercy. So many people are alive today because of the strength, resilience, and partnership exhibited by the faculty, trainees, staff, and students of the University of Maryland School of Medicine, and the doctors and the nurses who treated COVID-19 patients throughout the University of Maryland medical system. These are their stories, the voices of COVID. Destiny Banks was celebrating her birthday with Mom when COVID struck last August.
I couldn't breathe, so it was so bad that I couldn't walk down the steps. If I could describe it, it would be like running up the steps and then only being able to breathe through a straw.
Destiny became so sick that she required ECMO care in the lung rescue unit at the R. Adams Cowley Shock Trauma Center. ECMO is a heart-lung machine that removes carbon dioxide and oxygenates the blood before sending it back to the body.
It's really your decision, and I will support your decision.
Dr. Ali Tabatabai oversees the large multidisciplinary team providing ECMO care to patients like Destiny, and Maria Diaz, who contracted COVID last fall.
I was feeling tired, I had a little bit of fever, and I had muscle pain. Yes, I got very worried because I was only 29 weeks pregnant.
Maria's baby was delivered by C-section while she was still on ECMO, but bleeding complications developed and Maria suddenly went into cardiac arrest. For nearly 45 minutes, CPR and defibrillation failed to bring Maria's heart back to life.
I'm not gonna lie to you, there were periods of time during that prolonged cardiac arrest where I wasn't sure that Maria was going to survive.
But doctors and nurses refused to give up, and finally, a normal heart rhythm was restored. Do you think you would be here if you hadn't gone to the University of Maryland?
We wouldn't be here right now.
Destiny is also thankful for the life-saving care she received.
The nurses and doctors there were very, very knowledgeable and very kind.
There were two different Katie's, both in the
lung rescue.
Yes.
Destiny's mom wrote down the names of all the doctors, nurses, respiratory therapists, and support staff involved in her daughter's care. More than 40 names are on that list.
I'm grateful that it was that particular hospital to have such a large team assigned to just me.
The University of Maryland COVID ECMO program is the largest in the country and includes dozens of faculty physicians specializing in trauma, cardiac surgery, emergency medicine, pulmonology, and anesthesiology.
Medicine is a team sport, and I think that is dramatically evident in the provision of ECMO care. and in the provision of the care that we provide to all patients during the pandemic.
It's because of that extraordinary level of care and commitment that Maria can hold her baby today.
I wholeheartedly want to thank them for saving my life. I would like to thank God for putting them there to save me, and I would like to thank all the medical staff, and I hope that they are very well in the future.
Without the lung rescue unit, Maria's risk of dying would have been 80%.
She honestly, in more ways than one, is truly a miracle. The fact that she made it through everything she did, and to improve and heal and come off ECMO and walk out of the hospital and get home to lead what will hopefully be a long, productive, happy, and healthy life is really amazing, and the reason we do what we do.
COVID survivor Creed Bailey is returning to the medical intensive care unit to thank the doctors and nurses who saved his life.
You look fantastic.
Thank you. I feel great.
Oh, yes.
How are you?
Oh, it's so good to see you.
It's good to be seen.
Creed's illness was so severe, he was on a ventilator for 2 months and nearly died several times.
The reality for him was that there were multiple times when we were taking care of him that we thought that he's not going to survive this. And there were multiple conversations with his family saying that, you know, be ready for a phone call at any given time to come in to see him, because this might be the end of his life.
Doctors in the MICU battled a slew of COVID-related complications, including blood clots.
Initially, we thought COVID was a respiratory illness that basically affected the lungs, and we knew how to handle that. As we learned very quickly, it actually affected every organ system of the body, including the brain, including the heart, the lungs, the kidneys, the liver, and the heme system, as we saw in Creed's case.
Unfortunately, the blood clots led to the amputation of Creed's right leg.
Not bad.
But he's taking that in stride, with a positive outlook and a sense of humor.
Did you see my shirt?
That's great.
Yeah. It has not upset me at all, because I'm alive, right? The alternative could have been a lot worse.
Returning to the MICU was therapeutic for Creed and for the dozens of people involved in his care.
Thank you guys for everything. I mean, you're miracle workers.
Each day that I'm in the unit, I don't take for granted that it takes a team to take care of these critically ill patients. You may not be able to get everyone to recovery, but when we see folks recover, like Mr. Bailey, man, it makes it worth it, and it gives us hope for the next patient.
Today, Creed is back to work and looking forward to a future without COVID.
I don't know how to say it enough. Thank you guys for everything you did. I mean, literally, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here.
Creed. There we go.
By testing vaccines to end the pandemic, the University of Maryland School of Medicine played a pivotal role in the success of Operation Warp Speed. In a series of historic clinical trials, the Center for Vaccine Development and Global Health tested the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines.
We have about a 95% efficacy against any disease, and we have an almost 100% efficacy against severe disease.
These two trials have shown and proven that this was a good hypothesis.
The CVD is also testing the Novavax vaccine and evaluating the effectiveness of booster shots.
We need to establish whether the vaccine can respond to a boost in a delayed fashion.
So it's been a really exciting thing to be a part of this and to feel like we're contributing in some way to help with the fight against COVID.
Vaccines tested by the School of Medicine have been administered to millions of people worldwide.
Oh, I did it!
Frontline healthcare workers and physicians were the first to be vaccinated.
I hope this vaccine will be the way we get back to doing all the things that we miss doing.
The COVID response is coordinated by the Incident Command System, a partnership between the School of Medicine, the University of Maryland Medical System, and the University of Maryland, Baltimore.
We are in a race. It is vaccine versus variant. The more of us and the faster we all get vaccinated, the less of a chance there is for variants to potentially be an impact to our own health.
Medical student Ellen Moore volunteered to give vaccinations.
I feel like we're really giving back to our community and making a difference.
Working with organizations like Casa de Maryland, the School of Medicine is fighting vaccine hesitancy in underserved communities.
Me han comunicado.
Dr. Sandra Quezada reached out to the Latino community on social media.
We have suffered more infections, more death and mortality than other groups in this country.
During the pandemic, the Institute for Genome Sciences and the Department of Pathology partnered with the state to provide high-throughput COVID testing for hundreds of thousands of people. Positive results are checked for deadly mutations.
If we identify known variants, we report this to the state. And at the same time, we also deposit all the data into public databases.
Dr. Matt Freeman is investigating how effective the vaccines are against the variants.
So right now my lab is working with Novavax to do animal studies to determine how well new versions of their vaccine can work against these new variants from the UK and South Africa.
New treatments for critically ill patients are being developed at the Institute of Human Virology, celebrating its 25th anniversary under the leadership of founder and director Dr. Robert Gallo.
We were designing and participating in clinical studies that would help fight the virus, as well as to help the immune system to control the virus.
A year after contracting COVID-19, Rick Dressler still suffers from shortness of breath, headaches, and brain fog.
Definitely memory loss. I was, in my careers, while I did write things down, I never had to write things down on the spot. But now I write everything down.
The fact that you still have abnormalities on your CT scan correlates with your degree of symptoms.
Rick is one of many COVID long haulers being treated by Dr. Andrea Levine in her post-COVID practice.
A lot of what I do is reassure them that these are real symptoms, that we're hearing from every country around the world that had COVID, that people are continuing to complain of these symptoms.
You're going to be asked the meaning of some words.
Hoping for answers, Rick is participating in a research study co-led by Dr. Linda Chang. The study is designed to measure and understand post-COVID symptoms.
We do functional MRI on them. We do what's called MR spectroscopy that measure the brain chemicals. We also have techniques that measure brain oxygenation.
Dr. Chang believes brain inflammation may be to blame for Rick's brain fog.
Patients who have inflammation in the brain oftentimes will react slower to remembering things.
Rick took a battery of tests to measure 7 separate areas of cognitive function.
Touch the picture of banana.
He also took tests while undergoing an MRI of his brain so that changes could be detected in real time.
You have a screen that you can see. They might show you a letter, and if it matched the preceding letter, you had to press a button. That memory game should have been easy, and it wasn't.
In Rick's brain scan, Dr. Chang can see obvious evidence of inflammation.
You see these white spots here? This is a big one, and then there's some little small ones too, and there's even one small one here. So this tells me, because of where it's located, that at some point your brain wasn't getting enough perfusion, there wasn't getting enough blood flow.
As part of the study, Rick's spinal fluid is being tested at the Institute of Human Virology. Researchers are looking for signs of inflammatory cells.
And looking at those inflammatory cytokines to try to figure out which cells, T cells, B cells, NK cells, other kinds of immune cells, which of those are generating these pro-inflammatory signals that might be leading to this damage.
Today, Rick is trying to enjoy life while adjusting to a new normal, one that he hopes will not be permanent. And he's urging people to support COVID research.
So if anyone has the means to donate to these really excellent studies and ideas for studies at a really excellent institution, then let's do it. Let's get them going.
For Karen Itzel, singing in the family's Christian band was a source of great joy. But that joy was suddenly taken away by COVID-19.
Not only did I have it, but I had pretty serious pneumonia in both lungs.
Karen would remain on a ventilator for the next 17 days as School of Medicine doctors fought to save her life.
So Karen, like most of the patients we care for in the medical ICU, had acute respiratory distress syndrome. She had opacities in her lungs from the COVID virus. She was heavily sedated, requiring neuromuscular blockade or paralytics.
Karen's family was still able to talk to her every day.
Once they introduced the idea of the iPad and the Zoom calls, that was such a blessing.
While I was just sleeping and lying there, they would talk. and try to say things that I would want to hear. And they decided one day to sing a song.
What heights of love, what depths of peace.
And it's a song that I've known for a long time, and I know it quite well. And as soon as they started singing it, something in me, it spoke to my soul. I just started to respond to that, and I remember. I knew that they had sung to me that day, and I cried.
But would Karen ever sing again herself? Or were her vocal cords too damaged by the breathing tubes that kept her alive? As her condition improved, Karen's husband kept their fans up to date on social media.
We wanted to introduce a very, very special guest.
Hi, everybody.
She's home.
Yes, I'm so excited to be home, and I just want to thank everybody. I'm sorry. Thank you so much for your prayers. It's just meant so much to me, and it got me through knowing that so many people were praying for me.
Recovering at home now, Karen is getting stronger every day. On the day of our visit, Karen received a report on her vocal cords.
I got some really good news today, and I had a scope to look at my vocal cords, and there's no damage at all.
And so we were there when Karen sang again for the first time.
This cornerstone, this solid ground.
It was the same song her family sung to her in the hospital.
To the doctors and nurses, I would say thank you for not giving up and for having patience and kindness. They just were so faithfully good to me at the hospital, and I would say that they should be very encouraged because they've impacted me in a beautiful way.
My all in all, I stand.
What a transformative time here at the School of Medicine. Many thanks to the dedicated faculty, staff, trainees, and students whose participation and commitment made our video possible. And you should know that tonight's feature video was produced by the School of Medicine's talented public affairs team. Now, before we conclude our evening, I would like to introduce a special musical tribute for all of those who have dedicated their lives to fighting this pandemic, and featuring members of our own School of Medicine community.
Shuddered against a stranger that steals our breath, we open our doors at last, let a breeze linger in our lungs. In a world still plundered by plague, we sense on a cleansing wind sounds from streets and schools long silent, taste our release from a time of constriction. Soon freed from the phantom of time on fire, we will no longer sleep in the sky's shadow, but dream of rising from flames like a phoenix reborn to heal the world's tears. Our homes well-stocked, then hollowed, full again, then thin, found their own rhythm of respiration, while air-starved brothers and sisters had goodbyes stolen by smothered breath. The ground gone beneath us, we eyed the night sky for the sweep of the moon, Mars to rise red. In the rare communion of Jupiter and Saturn, we felt our longing to reunite with dear ones distanced far too long. On a near horizon, we now see a place no longer lethal to gather. With no more need to stroke framed photographs, we cling to our kin until their skin warms ours, until the air they breathe becomes ours and brings us home to ourselves. We near a season of return we have reached for. Emerge from a narrow place into open air, to scout the sky for the flight of the Perseids, our faces brushed by the meteor's breath.
Let me say thank you to Dr. Thomas Horniak, the Dr. Joseph Warren Burnett Professor and Chair of the Department of Dermatology for his musical performance, and to Ms. Lily Jarman Reich, Director of Development for Epidemiology and Public Health, for her original poem. We also appreciate those of our School of Medicine family who contributed special memories for that amazing tribute.
And a special thank you to our friends at the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra, who graciously allowed us to use the Meyerhoff Hall for this performance. We also thank Susan Hadari and Simpatico Productions for producing tonight's event. It has been an honor to serve as the honorary chairs of this special evening. And so on behalf of Calvin and myself, we look forward to seeing you all next year, May 7th, when we celebrate our 2022 Gala. Thank you for joining us and enjoy the rest of your evening.